morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Marcia from Mom Hunts Dead People. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the YouTubey things. All right, hunters, let's dig in. Did she say anything about making the bed? She said she had been up and made the bed fresh and had dusted the room and left it all in order. She was going to put some fresh pillow slips on the small pillows at the foot of the bed and was going to close the room because she was going to have company Monday. And she wanted everything in order. How long would it take to put on the pillow slips? About 2 minutes. How long to do the rest of the things? She had done that when I came down. All that was left was what? To put on the pillow slips. Can you give me any suggestion as to what occupied her when she was up there, when she was struck dead? I don't know of anything except she had some cotton cloth pillowcases up there, and she said she was going to commence to work on them. That is all I know. And the sewing machine was up there. Whereabouts was the sewing machine? In the corner between the north and west side. Did you hear this sewing machine going? I did not. Did you see anything to indicate that the sewing machine had been used that morning? I had not. I did not go in there until after everybody had been in there and the room had been overhauled. If she had remained downstairs, you would undoubtedly have seen her. If she had remained downstairs, I should have. If she had remained in her room, I should not have. If she had remained downstairs, I should have. If she had gone to her room, I should not have. I'm assuming that that is just an error in the transcript, how she repeated herself like that. Where was that? Over the kitchen. To get to the room, she would have to go through the kitchen to get up the back stairs. That is the way she was in the habit of going. Yes, sir, because the other doors were locked. If she had remained downstairs and had gone to her own room, you undoubtedly would have seen her. I should have seen her if she had stayed downstairs. If she had gone to her room, I would not have seen her. She was found a little after 11 in the spare room. If she had gone to her own room, she must have gone through the kitchen and up the back stairs and subsequently have gone down and gone back again. Yes, sir. Have you any reason to suppose you would not have seen her if she had spent any portion of the time in her own room or downstairs? There is no reason why I should not have seen her if she had been down there, except when I first came downstairs. For 2 or 3 minutes, I went down cellar to the water closet. After that, you were where you practically commanded the view of the first story the rest of the time? I think so. When you went upstairs for a short time, as you say you did, you then went in sight of the sewing machine? No, I did not see the sewing machine because she had shut up that room. What do you mean? I mean, the door was closed. She said she wanted it kept closed to keep the dust and everything out. Was it a room with a window? It has 3 windows. A large room, the size of the parlor, a pretty fair-sized room. Is it the guest room? Yes, the spare room. Where the sewing machine was, the guest room. Yes, sir. I ask again, perhaps you have answered all you care to. What explanation can you give, can you suggest, as to what she was doing from the time she said she had got all work done in the spare room until 11 o'clock? I suppose she went up and made her own bed. That would be in the back part. Yes, sir. She would have to go by you twice to do that, unless she went when I was in my room that few minutes. That would not be time enough for her to go and make her own bed and come back again. Sometimes she stayed up longer and sometimes shorter. I don't know. Otherwise than that, she would have to go in your sight. I should have to have seen her once. I don't know what I need to have seen her more than once. Did you not see her at all? No, sir, not after the dining room. What explanation can you suggest as to the whereabouts of your mother from the time you saw her in the dining room and she said her work in the spare room was all done until 11 o'clock? I don't know. I think she went back into the spare room, and whether she came back again or not, I don't know. That has always been a mystery. Can you think of anything that she could be doing in the spare room? Yes, sir. I know she used to do sometimes. She kept her best cape she wore on the street in there, and she used occasionally to go up there to get it and take it into her room. She kept a great deal in the guest room drawers. She used to go up there and get things and put things. She used those drawers for her own use. That connects her with her own room again, to reach which she had to go downstairs and come up again. Yes. Assuming she did not go into her own room, I understand you to say she could not have gone to her own room without your seeing her. She could while I was down cellar. You went down immediately you came down within a few minutes and you did not see her when you came back? No, sir. After that time, you must have remained in the guest chamber. I don't know. So far as you can judge. So far as I can judge, she might have been out of the house or in the house. Had you any knowledge of her going out of the house? No, sir. Had you any knowledge of her going out of the house? She told me she had had a note. Somebody was sick and said, I am going to get the dinner on the way, and asked me what I wanted for dinner. Did you tell her? Yes, I told her I did not want anything. Then why did you not suppose she had gone? I suppose she had gone. Did you hear her come back? I did not hear her go or come back, but I suppose she went. When you found your father dead, you supposed your mother had gone. I did not know. I said to the people who came in, I don't know whether Mrs. Borden is out or in. I wish you would see if she is in her room. You suppose she was out at the time? I understood so. I did not suppose anything about it. Did she tell you where she was going? No, sir. Did she tell you who the note was from? No, sir. Did you ever see the note? No, sir. Do you know where it is now? No, sir. She said she was going out that morning. Yes, sir. Hearing continued, Wednesday, August 10th, 1892. I shall have to ask you once more about that morning. Do you know what the family ate for breakfast? No, sir. Had the breakfast all been cleared away when you got down? Yes, sir. I want you to tell me just where you found the people when you got down that you did find there. Masters of Grammar we be. I found Mrs. Borden in the dining room. I found my father in the sitting room. And Maggie? Maggie was coming in the back door with her pail and brush. Tell me what talk you had with your mother at that time. She asked me how I felt. I said I felt better than I did Wednesday, but I did not want any breakfast. She asked me what I wanted for dinner. I told her nothing. I told her I did not want anything. She said she was going out and would get the dinner. That is the last I saw her, or said anything to her. Where did you go then? Into the kitchen. Where then? Down cellar. Gone perhaps 5 minutes. Perhaps not more than that, possibly a little bit more. When you came back, did you see your mother? I did not. I suppose she had gone out. She did not tell you where she was going? No, sir. When you came back, was your father there? Yes, sir. What was he doing? Reading the paper. Did you eat any breakfast? No, sir. I don't remember whether I ate a molasses cookie or not. I did not eat any regular proper breakfast. Was it usual for your mother to go out? Yes, sir. She went out every morning nearly and did the marketing. Was it usual for her to be gone away from dinner? Yes, sir. Sometimes, not very often. It's usual to be gone from dinner. How is it sometimes not very often? So the answer should be no, not very often, not yes. How often, say? Oh, I should think more than, well, I don't know, more than once in 3 months, perhaps. Yeah, see, that's not very often that you're missing dinner with the family. Maybe it's like a once every month and a half. Now call your attention to the fact that twice yesterday you told me with some explicitness that when your father came in, you were just coming downstairs. No, I did not. I beg your pardon. That you were on the stairs at the time your father was let in, you said with some explicitness. Do you now say you did not say so? I said I thought first I was on the stairs. Then I remembered I was in the kitchen when he came in. First you thought you were in the kitchen. Afterwards you remembered you were on the stairs. I said I thought I was on the stairs. Then I said I knew I was in the kitchen. I still say that now. I was in the kitchen. Did you go into the front part of the house after your father came in? After he came in from the down street, I was in the sitting room with him. These facsimiles are fantastic if you want to get into voice acting, because boy, do they mess with your mind. You think you know where this sentence is going, and no, it's just not going there at all. I mean, you have such grammatical wonders as he came in from down street. Did you go into the front hall afterwards? No, sir. At no time? No, sir. Excepting the 2 or 3 minutes you were down cellar, were you away from the house until your father came in? No, sir. You were always in the kitchen or dining room, excepting when you went upstairs. I went upstairs before he went out. You mean you went up there to sew a button on? I pasted a piece of tape on. Do you remember you did not say that yesterday? I don't think you asked me. I told you yesterday I went upstairs directly after I came up from down cellar with clean clothes. You now say after your father went out, you did not go upstairs at all. No, sir, I did not. When Maggie came in there washing the windows, you did not appear from the front part of the house. No, sir. When your father was let in, you did not appear from upstairs. No, sir, I was in the kitchen. That is so. Yes, sir, to the best of my knowledge. After your father went out, you remained there, either in the kitchen or dining room, all the time. I went in the sitting room long enough to direct some paper wrappers. Direct some paper wrappers? I'm not even sure what paper wrappers are in this context, nor how you are directing them. But my overactive imagination wants to picture little paper wrappers like on candies and somebody sitting there directing them like a director of a movie. And it is quite entertaining, actually. One of the 3 rooms. Yes, sir. So it would have been extremely difficult for anybody to have gone through the kitchen and dining room and front hall without your seeing them. They could have gone from the kitchen into the sitting room while I was in the dining room if there was anybody to go. Then into the front hall. Yes, sir. You were in the dining room ironing. Yes, sir, part of the time. You were in all of 3 rooms. Yes, sir. A large portion of that time, the girl was out of doors. I don't know where she was. I did not see her. I suppose she was out of doors, as she had the pail and brush. You knew she was washing windows. She told me she was going to. I did not see her do it. For a large portion of the time, you did not see the girl. No, sir. I wonder how old Bridget actually is. Is this like a thing that just because she's unmarried, they're calling her a girl, or is she like actually young? I have a feeling it's just an unmarried thing. Like you're not married, ergo you are the girl. No, sir. So far as you know, you were alone in the lower part of the house, a large portion of the time after your father went away and before he came back. My father did not go away, I think, until somewhere about 10, as near as I can remember. He was with me downstairs. A large portion of the time after your father went away and before he came back, so far as you know, you were alone in the house. Maggie had come in and gone upstairs. After he went out and before he came back, a large portion of the time after your father went out and before he came back, so far as you know, you were the only person in the house. I read that and I have no idea what the hell he asked. So after he left, but before he came back, a large portion of the time after your father went out. Okay, so we'll omit the second part of that sentence. So after he left, but before he came back, you were the only person home. So far as I know, I was. And during that time, so far as you know, the front door was locked. So far as I know. And never was unlocked at all. I don't think it was. Even after your father came home, it was locked up again. I don't know whether she locked it up after that or not. It locks itself. The spring lock opens. It fastens it so it cannot be opened from the outside. Sometimes you can press it open. Have you any reason to suppose the spring lock was left so it could be pressed open from the outside? I have no reason to suppose so. Nothing about the lock was changed before the people came. Nothing that I know of. What were you doing in the kitchen when your father came home? I think I was eating a pear when he came in. What had you been doing before that? Been reading a magazine. Were you making preparations to iron again? I had sprinkled my clothes and was waiting for the flat. I sprinkled the clothes before he went out. Had you built up the fire again? I put in a stick of wood. There were a few sparks. I put in a stick of wood to try to heat the flat. You had then started the fire? Yes, sir. The fire was burning when he came in? No, sir, but it was smoldering and smoking as though it would come up. Did it come up after he came in? No, sir. Did you do any more ironing? I did not. I went in with him and did not finish. You did not iron any more after your father came in? No, sir. Was the ironing board put away? No, sir, it was on the dining room table. When was it put away? I don't know. Somebody put it away after the affair happened. You did not put it away. No, sir. Was it on the dining room table when you found your father killed? I suppose so. You had not put it away then. I had not touched it. How soon after your father came in before Maggie went upstairs? I don't know. I did not see her. Did you see her after your father came in? Not after she let him in. How long was your father in the house before you found him killed? I don't know exactly because I went out to the barn. I don't know what time he came home. I don't think he had been home more than 15 or 20 minutes. I'm not sure. When you went out to the barn, where did you leave your father? He had lain down in the sitting room lounge, taken off his shoes and put on his slippers, and taken off his coat and put on the reefer. I asked him if he wanted the window left that way. Where did you leave him? On the sofa. Was he asleep? No, sir. Was he reading? No, sir. What was the last thing you said to him? I asked him if he wanted the window left that way. Then I went to the kitchen and from there to the barn. Whereabouts in the barn did you go? Upstairs. To the second story of the barn? Yes, sir. How long did you remain there? I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. What doing? Trying to find lead for a sinker. What made you think there would be lead for a sinker up there? Because there was some there. Was there not some by the door? Some pieces of lead by the open door, but there was a box full of old things upstairs. Did you bring any sinker back from the barn? I found no sinker. Did you bring any sinker back from the barn? Nothing but a piece of a chip I picked up on the floor. Where was that box you say was upstairs containing lead? There was a kind of workbench. Is it there now? I don't know, sir. How long since you have seen it there? I have not been out there since that day. Had you been in the barn before? That day? No, sir. How long since you had been in the barn before? I don't think I had been into it. I don't know as I had in 3 months. When you went out, did you unfasten the screen door? I unhooked it to get out. It was hooked until you went out. Yes, sir. It had been left hooked by Bridget, if she was the last one in. Okay, see, this is when you can obviously tell that this is not a primary source document because, first of all, we know from the witness statements that the maid's real name is Bridget. This is a copy of the inquest that a newspaper put out, right? And they've been calling Bridget Maggie. Well, they messed up and they left her real name in. So any eagle-eyed viewer back in the day would have been like, hey, who the hell is Bridget? Wait, that's the maid. She's not a Maggie. She's a Bridget. I suppose so. I don't know. Do you know when she did get through washing the outside? I don't know. Did you know she washed the windows inside? I don't know. Did you see her washing the windows inside? I don't know. Well, see, that's a yes or no question. Did you see her or not? It's not if you knew, but did you physically see her? Come on. Come on, impossible acts willing maniac. You can at least have a yes or no on that. Did you see her? You don't know whether she washed the dining room and sitting room windows inside. I did not see her. If she did, would you not have seen her? I don't know. She might be in one room and I in another. You do not think she might have gone to work and washed all the windows in the dining room and sitting room and you not know it? I don't know. I am sure whether I should or not. I might have seen her and not know it. You might have seen her and not know it? Maybe she means I might have seen her, but I was so busy doing my own thing. I didn't pay any attention, so I don't remember. Miss Borden, I am trying in good faith to get all the things that morning of yourself and Miss Sullivan, and I have not succeeded in doing it. Do you desire to give me any information or not? I don't know it. I don't know what your name is. Wait, what? First of all, he totally has outed Bridget Sullivan at this point because he's now given her last name, and they messed up on correcting her first name and changing it. So now all the readers totally know there's a Bridget Sullivan that's a maid. And what does knowing the Inquisitor's name have to do with giving direct answers? It is certain beyond reasonable doubt she was engaged in washing the windows in the dining room or sitting room when your father came home. Did you mean to say you know nothing of either of these operations? I knew she washed the windows outside. That is, she told me so. She did not wash the windows in the kitchen because I was in the kitchen most of the time. The dining room and sitting room, I said. I don't know. It is reasonably certain she washed the windows in the dining room and sitting room inside while your father was out, and was engaged in that operation when your father came home. Do you mean to say you know nothing of it? I don't know whether she washed the windows in the sitting room and dining room or not. Can you give me any information how it happened at that particular time? You should go into the chamber of the barn to find a sinker to go to Marion with to fish the next Monday. I was going to finish my ironing. My flats were not hot. I said to myself, I will go and try and find the sinker. Perhaps by the time I get back, the flats will be hot. That is the only reason. It kind of annoys me too. Or the flat part of the iron. She's left that on a heat source and then it's gone into an entirely different building. Let us hope they had Sanborn and fire insurance, because if not, that is a fire hazard and they would have no insurance to cover their burnt down home. How long have you been reading an old magazine before you went to the barn at all? Perhaps half an hour. Had you got a fish line? Not there. We had some at the farm. Had you got a fish hook? No, sir. Had you got any apparatus for fishing at all? Yes, over here. Had you any sinkers over there? I think there were some. It is so long since I had been there. I think there were some. You had no reason to suppose you were lacking sinkers. I don't think there were any on my lines. Where were your lines? My fish lines were at the farm here. What made you think there were no sinkers at the farm on your lines? Because some time ago I was there and had none. How long since you used the fish lines? 5 years, perhaps. You left them at the farm then? Yes, sir. And you had not seen them since? Yes, sir. It occurred to you after your father came in, it would be a good time to go to the barn after sinkers, and you had no reason to suppose there was not abundance of sinkers at the farm and abundance of lines. The last time I was there were some lines. Did you not say before you presumed there were sinkers at the farm? I don't think I said so. You did say so exactly. Do you now say you presume there were not sinkers at the farm? I don't think there were any fish lines suitable to use at the farm. I don't think there were any sinkers on any line that had been mine. Do you remember telling me you presumed there were lines and sinkers and hooks at the farm? I said there were lines, I thought, and perhaps hooks. I did not say I thought there were sinkers on my lines. There was another box of lines over there beside mine. You thought they were not sinkers? Not on my lines. Not sinkers at the farm. I don't think there were any sinkers at the farm. I don't know whether there were or not. Did you then think there were no sinkers at the farm? I thought there were no sinkers anywhere, or I should not have been trying to find some. You thought there were no sinkers at the farm to be had. I thought there were no sinkers at the farm to be had. That is the reason you went to the second story of the barn to look for a sinker. Yes, sir. What made you think you would find sinkers there? I heard father say, and I knew there was lead there. What made you think you would find sinkers there? I went to see because there was lead there. You thought there might be lead there made into sinkers. I thought there might be lead with a hole in it. Did you examine the lead that was downstairs near the door? No, sir. Why not? I don't know. You went straight to the upper story of the barn. No, I went under the pear tree and got some pears first. Then you went to the second story of the barn to look for sinkers for lines you had at the farm, as you supposed, as you had seen them there 5 years before that time. I went up to get some sinkers if I could find them. I did not intend to go to the farm for lines. I was going to buy some lines here. You then had no intention of using your own lines at Marion. I could not get them. You had no intentions of using your own line and hooks at the farm? No, sir. What was the use of telling me a little while ago you had no sinkers on your line at the farm? I thought I made you understood that those lines of the farm were no good to use. Okay, she had totally not said that part at all, that they were no good. She's just like, they're there at the farm. That's why I don't have any lines here. That's why I don't have any poles here. But I'm pretty sure there was no sinkers for some odd reason. at the farm. So that's why I was getting sinkers here. That was the way I understood that. You guys let me know how you understood it. Did you not mean for me to understand one of the reasons you were searching for sinkers was that the lines you had at the farm, as you remembered them, had no sinkers on them? I said the lines at the farm had no sinkers. I did not ask what you said. Did you not mean for me to understand that? I meant for you to understand I wanted the sinkers and was going to have new lines. You had then not bought your lines. No, sir, I was going out Thursday noon. You had not bought any apparatus for fishing. No hooks. Had bought nothing connected with your fishing trip. No, sir. Was going to go fishing the next Monday, were you? I don't know that we should go fishing Monday. Going to the place to go fishing Monday? Yes, sir. This was Thursday, and you had no idea of using any fishing apparatus before the next Monday? No, sir. You had no fishing apparatus you were proposing to use the next Monday until then? No, sir. Not until I bought it. You had not bought anything? No, sir. You had not started to buy anything? No, sir. Her plan for Monday was on Thursday afternoon to go and buy everything she needed to go fishing on Monday. And that's why Thursday morning, she's like, hey, there's lead over in the barn. Let me go see if any of it has a hole in it so I can turn it into a sinker. Or maybe there are sinkers there. And then I'll buy everything else I need, new lines, hooks, etc. in the afternoon. The first thing in preparation for your fishing trip the next Monday was to go to the loft of the barn to find some old sinkers to put on some hooks and lines that you had not then bought. I thought if I found no sinkers, I would have to buy the sinkers when I bought the lines. Okay, I'll give you that. That makes sense. See what you have so you don't waste money. You thought you would be saving something by hunting in the loft of the barn before you went to see whether you should need them or not. I thought I would find out whether there were any sinkers before I bought the lines, and if there was, I should not have to buy any sinkers. If there were some, I should only have to buy the lines and the hooks. You began the collection of your fishing apparatus by searching for the sinkers in the barn. Yes, sir. You were searching in a box of old stuff in the loft of the barn. Yes, sir, upstairs. That you had never looked at before. I had seen them. Never examined them before. No, sir. All the reason you supposed there were sinkers there was your father had told you there was lead in the barn. Yes, lead. And one day I wanted some old nails. He said there was some in the barn. All the reason that gave you to think there were sinkers was your father said there was old lead in the barn. Yes, sir. Did he mention the place in the barn? I think he said upstairs. I am not sure. Where did you look upstairs? On the workbench, like. In anything? Yes, in a box, sort of a box, and then some things laying right on the side that was not in the box. How large a box was it? I could not tell you. It was probably covered up with lumber, I think. It was probably covered up with lumber? I would probably remember if I had to move wood out of the way to get to a box. But maybe that's just me. Give me the best idea of the size of the box you can. Well, I should say I don't know. I have not any idea. I have given you the best idea I have. What is the best idea you have? About that large, measuring with hands. That long. Yes. How wide? I don't know. Give me the best idea you have. Perhaps as wide as it was long? How high? Not very high. About how high? Witness measures with her hands. About twice the length of your forefinger. I should think so, not quite. What was in the box? Nails and some old locks, and I don't know, but there was a doorknob. Anything else? I don't remember anything else. Any lead? Yes, some pieces of tea lead, like. Foil. We call that tin foil. The same as you use on tea chests. I don't remember seeing any tin foil. Not as thin as that. Tea chest lead. No, sir. What did you see in the shape of lead? Flat pieces of lead, a little bigger than that. Some of them were doubled together. How many? I could not tell you. Where else did you look inside the box? I did not look anywhere for lead except the workbench. Did you look for anything else besides lead? No, sir. When you got through looking for lead, did you come down? No, sir. I went to the west window over the hay. To the west window, and the curtain was slanted a little. I pulled it down. What else? Nothing. Is that all you did? Yes, sir. That is the second story of the barn. Yes, sir. Was the window open? I think not. Hot? Very hot. How long do you think you were up there? Not more than 15 or 20 minutes, I should think. Should you think that you have told me would occupy 4 minutes? Yes, because I ate some pears up there. Do you think all you have told me would take you 4 minutes? I ate some pears up there. I asked you to tell me all you did. I told you all I did. Did you mean to say you stopped your work and then, additional to that, sat still and ate some pears? Well, I was looking out the window. Yes, sir. Will you tell me all you did in the second story of the barn? I think I told you all I did that I can remember. Is there anything else? I told you I took some pears up from the ground when I went up. I stooped under the pear tree and took some pears up when I went up. Have you now told me everything you did up in the second story of the barn? Yes, sir. I now call your attention and ask you say whether all you have told me. I don't suppose you stayed there any longer than necessary. No, sir, because it was closed. I suppose that was the hottest place there was on the premises. I should think so. Can you give me any explanation why all you have told me would occupy more than 3 minutes? Yes, it would take me more than 3 minutes to look in that box that you would have described the size of on the bench and put down the curtain and then get out as soon as you conveniently could. Would you say you were occupied in that business 20 minutes? I think so, because I did not look for the box when I first went up. What did you do? I ate my pears. Stood there eating the pears, doing nothing. I was looking out the window. Stood there looking out the window eating the pears. I should think so. How many did you eat? 3, I think. You were feeling better than you did in the morning. Better than I did the night before. You were feeling better than you were in the morning. I felt better in the morning than I did the night before. That is not what I asked you. You were then, when you were in that hot loft, looking out of the window and eating 3 pears, feeling better, were you not, than you were in the morning when you could not eat any breakfast? I never eat any breakfast. You did not answer my question, and you will if I will have it put all day. Were you then, when you were eating those 3 pears in a hot loft, looking out of that closed window, feeling better than you were in the morning when you ate no breakfast? I was feeling well enough to eat the pears. Were you feeling better than you were in the morning? I don't think I felt very sick in the morning, only... Yes, I don't know, but I did feel better. As I say, I don't know whether I ate any breakfast or not, or whether I ate a cookie. Were you then feeling better than you did in the morning? I don't know how to answer you because I told you I felt better in the morning anyway. Do you understand my question? My question is whether, when you were in the loft of that barn, you were feeling better than you were in the morning when you got up. No, I felt about the same. Were you feeling better than you were when you told your mother you did not care for any dinner? No, sir. I felt about the same. Well enough to eat pears, but not well enough to eat anything for dinner. She asked me if I wanted any meat. I asked you why you should select that place, which was the only place which would put you out of sight of the house, to eat those 3 pears in. I cannot tell you any reason. You observe that fact, do you not? You have put yourself in the only place, perhaps, where it would be impossible for you to see a person going into the house. Yes, sir. I should have seen them from the front window. From anywhere in the yard? No, sir, not unless from the end of the barn. Ordinarily, in the yard, you could see them, and in the kitchen where you had been, you could have seen them. I don't think I understand. When you were in the kitchen, you could see persons who came in at the back door. Yes, sir. When you were in the yard, unless you were around the corner of the house, you could see them in at the back door. No, sir, not unless I was at the corner of the barn. The minute I turned, I could not. What was there? A little jog like the walk turns. I ask you again to explain to me why you took those pears from the pear tree. I did not take them from the pear tree. From the ground, wherever you took them from. I thank you for correcting me. Going into the barn, going upstairs into the hottest place in the barn, in the rear of the barn, the hottest place, and there standing and eating those pears that morning. I beg your pardon. I was not in the rear of the barn. I was in the other end of the barn that faced the street, where you could see anybody coming into the house. Yes, sir. Did you not tell me you could not, before I went into the barn, at the jog on the outside? You now say, when you were eating the pears, you could see the back door. Yes, sir. So nobody could come in at that time without you were seeing them. I don't see how they could. After you got through eating your pears, you began your search. Yes, sir. Then you did not see into the house? No, sir, because the bench is at the other end. Now I have asked you over and over again, and will continue the inquiry, whether anything you did at the bench would occupy more than 3 minutes. Yes, I think it would, because I pulled over quite a lot of boards and looking to get at the box. Yes, sir. Taking all that, what is the amount of time you think you occupied in looking for that piece of lead which you did not find? Well, I should think perhaps I was 10 minutes. Looking over those old things. Yes, sir, on the bench. Now, can you explain why you were 10 minutes doing it? No, only that I can't do anything in a minute. When you came down from the barn, what did you do then? Came into the kitchen. What did you do then? I went into the dining room and laid down my hat. What did you do then? Opened the sitting room door and went into the sitting room, or pushed it open. It was not latched. What did you do then? I found my father and rushed to the foot of the stairs. What were you going into the sitting room for? To go upstairs. What for? To sit down. What had become of the ironing? The fire had gone out. We'll see. It's lucky the fire went out. We have no idea whether they had Sanborn or not. Anyway, yeah, we do. We do know. At least the following year they did, because their house is on the map. So see, she was covered. If the house had burned down because she had left the iron being all heated up over top of the fire, they would have been fine. They just would have built a new house with the insurance money. I thought you went out because the fire was not hot enough to heat the flats. I thought it would burn, but the fire had not caught from the few sparks. So you gave up the ironing and was going upstairs. Yes, sir. I thought I would wait till Maggie got dinner and heat the flats again. Nope. We already know her real name is Bridget. All it takes is one mess up. We know she's not a Maggie Sullivan. We now know she's a Bridget. When you saw your father, where was he? On the sofa? What was his position? Lying down. Describe anything else you noticed at that time. I did not notice anything else. I was so frightened and horrified. I ran to the foot of the stairs and called Maggie. Did you notice that he had been cut? Yes, that is what made me afraid. Did you notice that he was dead? I did not know whether he was or not. Did you make any search for your mother? No, sir. Why not? I thought she was out of the house. I thought she had gone out. I called Maggie to go to Dr. Bowen's. When they came, I said, I don't know where Mrs. Borden is. I thought she had gone out. Did you tell Maggie you thought your mother had come in? No, sir. That you thought you heard her come in? No, sir. Did you say to anybody that you thought she was killed upstairs? No, sir. To anybody? No, sir. You made no effort to find your mother at all? No, sir. Who did you send Maggie for? Dr. Bowen. She came back and said Dr. Bowen was not there. What did you tell Maggie? I told her he was hurt. When you first told her, I says, go for Dr. Bowen as soon as you can. I think father is hurt. Did you then know that he was dead? No, sir. You saw him? Yes, sir. You went into the room? No, sir. Looked in at the door? I opened the door and rushed back. Saw his face? No, I did not see his face because it was all covered with blood. You saw where the face was bleeding? Yes, sir. Did you see the blood on the floor? No, sir. You saw his face covered with blood? Yes, sir. Did you see his eyeball hanging out? No, sir. See the gashes where his face was laid open? No, sir. Nothing of that kind? No, sir. Witness covers her face with her hand for a minute or two. Then examination is resumed. Yeah, I'd probably need a minute or two if I found one of my parents just face hacked. And apparently there was an eyeball hanging out. I mean, she says she didn't see it. I don't know how you would not see that. I mean, whether you'd want to or not. And she didn't see the gashes where his face was laid open. And okay, so that reminds me back to the witness statements when the one cop is like, he had thin cuts as if by a sharp razor. What kind of razor was that man using? Like, when you think of a razor, you're thinking of like a razor blade for like shaving. And even if you think of the foldy ones from the movies where they're doing a nice professional shave, I only know like one or two men who actually have those. I mean, yeah, that's just, what was with that guy? He was just like thin, narrow cuts as if by a razor. Is vastly different from gashes that laid open his face. Do you know of any employment that would occupy your mother for the 2 hours between 9 and 11 in the front room? Not unless she was sewing. If she had been sewing, you would have heard the machine. She did not always use the machine. Did you see or were there found anything to indicate that she was sewing up there? I don't know. She had given me a few weeks before some pillowcases to make. My question is not that. Did you see or were there found anything to indicate that she had done any sewing in that room that morning? I don't know. I was not allowed in that room. I did not see it. Was that the room where she usually sewed? No, sir. Did you ever know her to use that room for sewing? Yes, sir. When? When she wanted to use the machine. When she did not want to use the machine, did you know she used that room for sewing? Not unless she went up to sew a button on or something. She did not use it as a sitting room? No, sir. Leaving out the sewing, do you know of anything else that would occupy her for 2 hours in that room? No, not if she had made up the bed, and she said she had when I went down, assuming the bed was made. I don't know anything. Did she say she had done the work? She said she had made the bed and was going to put on the pillowcase about 9 o'clock. I ask you now again, remember that I told you that yesterday. Never mind about yesterday. Tell me all the talk you had with your mother when you came down in the morning. She asked me how I felt. I said I felt better, but did not want any breakfast. She said, what kind of meat did I want for dinner? I said I did not want any. She said she was going out, somebody was sick, and she would get the dinner, get the meat, order the meat. And I think she said something about the weather getting hotter or something. And I don't remember, though she said anything else. I said to her, won't you change your dress before you go out? She had on an old one. She said, no, this is good enough. That is all I can remember. Is this narrative you have not again said anything about her having said that she had made the bed? I told you that she said she had made the bed. In this time saying you did not put that in. I want that conversation that you had with her that morning. I beg your pardon again. In this time of telling me you did not say anything about her having received a note. I told you that before. Miss Borden, I want you now to tell me all the talk you had with your mother when you came down and all the talk she had with you. Please begin again. She asked me how I felt. I told her. She asked me what I wanted for dinner. I told her not anything. What kind of meat I wanted for dinner. I told her not any. She said she had been up and made the spare bed and was going to take up some linen pillowcases for the small pillows at the foot. And then the room was done. She says, I have had a note from somebody that is sick and I am going out. And I will get the din at the same time. I think she said something about the weather. I don't know. She also asked me if I would direct some paper wrappers for her, which I did. She said she had had a note. Yes, sir. You told me yesterday you never sold the note. No, sir, I never did. You looked for it? No, sir, but the rest have. She did not say where she was going. No, sir. Does she usually tell you where she is going? She does not generally tell me. Did she say when she was coming back? No, sir. Did you know that Mr. Morse was coming to dinner? No, sir. I knew nothing about him. Was he at dinner the day before? Wednesday noon. I don't know. I had not seen him. I don't think he was. Were you at dinner? I was in the house. I don't know whether I went down to dinner or not. I was not feeling well. Whether you ate dinner or not? I don't remember. Do you remember who was at dinner the day before? No, sir, I don't remember, because I don't know whether I was down myself or not. Were you at tea Wednesday night? I went down, but I don't know whether I had any tea or not. Did you sit down with the family? I think I did, but I am not sure. Was Mr. Morse there? No, sir, I did not see him. Who was there to tea? Nobody. The family was there, I suppose. Yes, sir, I mean nobody but the family. Did you have an apron on Thursday? Did I what? Have an apron on Thursday? No, sir, I don't think I did. Do you remember whether you did or not? I don't remember sure, but I don't think I did. You had aprons, of course. I had aprons, yes, sir. Will you try and think whether you did or not? I don't think I did. Will you try and remember? I had no occasion for an apron that morning. If you can remember, I wish you would. I don't remember. Ah, I remember. Because Harrington, her uncle, who was doing the investigation, or was it Doherty, who was not her uncle, but was still doing the investigation, had mentioned she had an apron on with stripes and was tied at the side with a sash. I remembers. That is all the answer you can give me about that. Yes, sir. Did you have any occasion to use the axe or hatchet? No, sir. Did you know where they were? I knew there was an old axe down cellar. That is all I knew. Did you know anything about a hatchet down cellar? No, sir. Where was the old axe down cellar? The last I saw it, it was stuck in an old chopping block. Was that the only axe or hatchet down cellar? It was all I knew about. When was the last you knew of it? When our farmer came to chop wood. When was that? I think a year ago last winter. I think there was so much wood on hand, he did not come last winter. Do you know of anything that would occasion the use of an axe or hatchet? No, sir. Do you know of anything that would occasion forgetting of blood on an axe or hatchet down cellar? No, sir. I did not say there was, but assuming an axe or hatchet was found down cellar with blood on it. No, sir. Do you know whether there was a hatchet down there before this murder? I don't know. You are not able to say your father did not own a hatchet? I don't know whether he did or not. Did you know there was found at the foot of the stairs a hatchet or axe? No, sir, I did not. Assume that is so. Can you give me an explanation of how they came there? No, sir. Assume they had blood on them. Can you give me an occasion for there being blood on them? No, sir.
The remaining transcript discusses methods of animal death, those who are sensitive. Please.
Can you tell any killing of an animal or any other operation that would lead to their being cast there with blood on them? No, sir. He killed some pigeons in the barn last May or June. With what? I don't know, but I thought he wrung their necks. What made you think so? I think he said so. Did anything else make you think so? All but 3 or 4 had their heads on. That is what made me think so. Did all of them come into the house? I think so. Those that came into the house were all headless? 2 or 3 had them on. Were any with their heads off? Yes, sir. Cut off or twisted off? I don't know which. How did they look? I don't know. Their heads were gone. That is all. Did you tell anybody they looked as though they were twisted off? I don't remember whether I did or not. The skin, I think, was very tender. I said, why are these heads off? I think I remember of telling somebody that he said they twisted off. Did they look to be as if they were cut off? I don't know. I did not look at that particularly. Is there anything else besides that would lead, in your opinion so far as you can remember, to the finding of instruments in the cellar with blood on them? I know of nothing else that was done. So some of you may be queasy about the fact that he had wrung the necks of the pigeons, but you do need to remember the time period. It would not have been unusual in the era before mass farms. There were no large poultry or chicken farms, which even now are contested about being humane. But it would have not been unusual for him to have killed the pigeons in the barn. One, to get rid of a pest, and two, to eat them because pigeon is squab. And if you have never heard of squab, that's fine. It was a common food. Pigeons were essentially a free food at this point. It would have been squab, when properly served, is considered a more of a high item delicacy, but it is also a poor man's food because it is easy to acquire because it's pigeon. But squab is also, like nowadays, if you were to eat squab, if you've gone to a restaurant and you've eaten squab off the menu, that is a pigeon that has been raised specifically for that, such as a chicken or a turkey or a duck. It is simply another form of poultry. Okay, everyone, that looks like a good stopping point for today. So we'll pick it up next time. Until then, happy hunting.